welcome to Unoya. It's your host, Sable Danielle, and today we are joined by Zeke Upshaw. Hi, Jewel. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being here.
Welcome.
So, I met Jewel at the YBIB event in October, and she had an incredible story to tell. And I really wanted to give her another platform to raise awareness for her foundation. So, Jewel, before we jump right into your story, did you want to introduce yourself to the Unoya community?
Sure. My name is Zeke Upshaw, and I am the founder of the Zeke Upshaw Foundation, and I'm a proud mother of a 26-year-old. I had a 26-year-old son who is now deceased, but his spirit is still with me, and I am still his mother. But that's pretty much why I started the foundation. Because of everything surrounding his death. It needed to be done.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I know it takes a tremendous amount of strength to be able to just talk about these deeper feelings, and I think it's really very great of you to share your story and be vulnerable and try to help everyone else in the community. So
Thank you.
You're welcome. Did you want to share?
I'm in a better place today, so it's okay.
I appreciate that. So whenever you're ready, you can start with your story.
So the May of 2018, I was here in Las Vegas. My son, Zeke, was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, playing in a basketball game. During the game, he suffered a sudden cardiac arrest and collapsed during the game. And he succumbed to those injuries. He was not revived during the game. So unfortunately, no life-saving measures were performed during the first critical minutes of Zeke's collapse, which I've learned through tons and tons of research, reading, doctors, professionals, experts, that you get 5 minutes. When someone suffers a cardiac event, their heart stops, and you have to resuscitate the heart. You have to restart the heart. So unfortunately, it was not enough time. Not to say that they didn't try. Once he got off of the basketball court, into the paramedic, into the ambulance, all of that, those measures were attempted, but we had to, we gave it a couple of days. I was praying and begging, not just begging God to save him, because I thought that if he did not save Zeke's life or bring him back to life, that I wouldn't be able to live. And so it didn't happen. God did not revive Zeke. And I had to make that tough decision with a hospital full of people, my family there. I had to make me and his dad, of course. I'm not married, but his dad was an intricate part of his life. And so because of that, that's when everything started. The immense grieving, the everything. And so through the tears, through counsel, through all of that is where I said, that can't be it. Zeke was an amazing person, community-based individual, fun-loving. Oh my gosh. If you could clone him, and a lot of his coaches wanted to, you would clone him. So I couldn't let his life just end like that. So the foundation that I started is an extension of him. It is definitely things that we do, that we plan to do and have done, are totally in the vein of Zeke. Totally. Things that he was already doing, not necessarily on the cardiac side, on the heart side, but you know, feeding the homeless, giving back to the community, tutoring, things like that. We haven't dived into them because we started the foundation in 2019, and then COVID hit. Okay, so I need to stop this. Sorry.
That's okay.
So COVID hit, and so a lot of the things that we were brainstorming and trying to plan, we could not do because of, you know, context. So
I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm sorry that that event even happened, but it's amazing that you've been able to turn it into something great and still continue on his legacy. So what exactly is SCA?
So sudden cardiac arrest is a life-threatening emergency. It is not a heart attack. A lot of people try to I mean, it's heart problems, both, but a heart attack, most people can survive those. Relatively, I haven't heard, I mean, people do pass away from heart attacks. I'm not saying that they don't, but sudden cardiac arrest is the number one killer of student athletes. Every 3 days, a student athlete passes away from sudden cardiac arrest. If they're not on the big stage, you may not hear about it, but the statistics and the numbers are there. And it is very, very alarming and very sad because people don't know, parents don't know, kids don't know that they have a sick heart. And it's so important to do heart screenings and have our children know CPR, know the signs associated with sudden cardiac arrest. So that's what our crusade is about. I did not know what it was. It's one of those terms that you hear, but it's not a term that I dissected. I thought I had to know about it because you don't. It creeps up on you like a thief in the night, and it steals your loved one. And if you do not get your heart screened, everyone at some point, especially if you have some of the symptoms like lightheadedness, a fast beating, fast beating heartbeats, you know, like palpitations, abnormal when you exercise. Also, shortness of breath. Let's see, possibly vomiting, passing out, fatigued, headaches. There's things that, you know, if doctors, you know, just say, well, you're just tired or you're just depressed or whatever they may say, people should definitely go a little bit further than that and ask for a heart screening.
So in this instance, it's best to always advocate for yourself because the doctor may not say, hey, go get your heart checked, because those symptoms sound like just everyday kind of regular things that you could easily skip over and not even recognize.
Absolutely. I get lightheaded and dizzy when I don't eat at the in my boot camp. And so if a person doesn't eat before they go work out, they may say, well, it's because I didn't eat, when it's an underlying, it could potentially be an underlying issue.
Yeah. So do you know if typically it's genetic or if it is just kind of random? You have to.
So that we were not able. I know sometimes it is genetic because it could be like, oh gosh, I forgot the. It's a QT. Is it LQT? I'm sorry, I forgot the specific genetic one that a girlfriend of mine, her kids, two of her kids, they were genetics, and I mean they had it genetically, and sadly 2 of her 3 children passed away from sudden cardiac arrest. And yes, but in our case, we were not able to identify 100% if it was genetic. However, My father had heart issues. He had like strokes, heart disease. But you don't really correlate the two because my my dad um, didn't really take care of himself that well, and so I attributed his heart issues with how he took care of himself. Didn't exercise. He was a drinker, things like that. So he passed away a year before Zeke did, and of course, had it been reversed, um, I would have, really talked to him about more about his heart disease.
Yeah. Well, so it sounds like, I mean, I ran track in high school and middle school, and I know that we had to get physicals before just to say, hey, we got a physical, we can play sports. But it seems like the medical field should really make doing heart checks a regular, mandatory part of all
Yes,
these physicals,
that
especially
is so, yeah, that's so true.
because the number that you said earlier, would you say 1 in 3?
Yes.
That is really alarming and very high.
Yes.
um,
Let me make sure I got the statistics right. Yes, 67% um, are basketball and football players. 52% are African American of the 1 in 3. So a student athlete died yesterday. A lot of times we hear about it. He was 16 years old. We get those. We get the notifications because there's so many foundations that are out here doing the work, and the statistics. Somehow they get those statistics and they get the notifications if it's hard. Sometimes, not all the time. Not every single um, student athlete that dies. So that's like over. It's a massive amount of them. It's 300 and um, 6,000. It's 6,000 youth per year.
wow.
6,000. It's alarming.
Yes. So I remember you when you were speaking at the YBIB event, and I believe I saw it posted on your Instagram that you raised money to purchase and donate heart scan machines, or
Yes. The
so
AED, the automated external defibrillators, that machine could have saved Zeke's life had someone jumped into action very quickly and applied the pads and shocked. We don't know if that would have saved, but you have to do it. You have to do it because if it's not a heart issue, it won't administer a shock. If it's a concussion or something else, like but that wasn't the case with Zeke. Zeke fell the way that he fell. I forgot to add that I was driving and I was had to pull over because his games were being televised. I'm sorry, not televised. They were being on Facebook Live.
okay.
Some of his games were being shown on Facebook Live. And if I got off work or even at work, I would be watching the game at work and have my phone in my drawer because we couldn't have our cell phones out. So I would be watching Zeke's game every single time I could because he was traveling. He's traveling with the G League, and so that particular day was no different. I was watching it, and unfortunately, I saw that. I saw it all happen. I was screaming at the phone, like somebody do something. It was so dramatic. It was so traumatic. Not dramatic, traumatic.
Yeah.
And I got phone call. My phone started ringing. It was just such a difficult day.
I can imagine losing a child and anyone close to you, but especially a child, and then having to watch it would have been unbearable. So, how many machines were you able to donate this past year? Were you able to reach your goal?
No, we're so far away from the goal, but we're making strides. We've donated 2 so far, And we're trying to donate 26 by the end of the year.
Yes. Well, two is
So,
better than none. I mean, and I don't think that this is as big of an issue. Like, not that it's not a big issue. It's not popular, I guess, for people to really know about. So we are taking the steps that we need to now to raise awareness, and hopefully after this airs, you'll be able to get some more donations so that we can get these people the AED machines, and we can get more hearts checked, and we can just be on a better path to do better with this.
absolutely, because that's the goal. I have to, Zeke has a friend that he has a prep school in California, and my next donation will go to him and his team because they are lacking. The machines are quite expensive. They can run anywhere from $1,000 up to $3,000. And so we usually get the $1,000, maybe $1,500 grade, because those are good machines, and as long as they're maintained and we follow up with the people that we donate them to, and if they need, we just have a pledge, so to speak, that they will make sure that the pads are changed out and things like that. And it's just not sitting collecting. Now, if it collects dust and nothing happens, that's wonderful. But we want to be prepared in the event of an emergency. We don't want to have to use it and the battery's dead or something like that.
Right. Well, I commend you for doing that. And I definitely appreciate what you do because I have a younger brother, he's 26, and he does MMA, he fights. And I don't think this has ever been a topic of conversation to, hey, go get your heart checked. I know he's gotten physicals and done what he, technically is supposed to do before his fights, but I don't know if that includes his heart.
A lot of times it doesn't.
Yeah, so and that kind of struck a nerve. It hit home for me when you were talking about it. Um, so yeah, and when you were speaking about this at the YBIB event, was that your first time publicly speaking about?
No. I have, let's see, soon after it happened, I was contacted by the heart, a member or an employee of the American Heart Association, and we did a interview at Zeke's high school really early on. It was so hard to do that interview. I cried the whole interview. It was bad. But then after that, I think that's what kind of broke me in terms of um, my debut, I should say, because after I watched it over and over again, I said, this is necessary. This pain, this hurt is necessary for so many things, not just for sudden cardiac arrest, for mothers that have lost their children to so many things, gun violence and drugs and suicides. It's just because I really got into the grieving part of it.
Yeah. So speaking of grieving, what advice or tips would you have for other parents who are grieving their children?
To just grieve. Don't let society, don't let your family, don't let anyone tell you that there's an expiration date on that, on grief, because that we carry it. We carry it. You can't bury it. You can't tuck it under a pillow. You can't get over it. You have to own it, and you have to tend to it. And while you're doing that, you should be, I would say, I am an advocate for counseling, therapy. I don't think I would have made it without it. And of course, my faith. So all of those things, reading, trying to get an understanding, which is something that's one thing that you do. You try to understand it. You wake up every day in a stupor, in a crying stupor, trying to figure out, why is this my life? Why did this happen to me? And so a lot of grieving mothers, fathers, people, I think they do that. And I know they do it because I did it. You're asking God, why? Why did you take him? When it's just so deeper than that, because we all have an expiration date. We just don't know the date nor the hour, but we all have to go. It's just the way that a person goes that makes it more difficult. But doing the work, being an advocate for yourself, and don't let people tell you how you need to grieve. You know, you're still crying. People say things like that, which is really unfortunate. Like, what? Then when you say something like, back, like, excuse me, then they fix it up. Oh, but it's just being ignorant to the fact. It's 4 years. It'll be 4 years next month. March is a very difficult month for me, and I think it will be forever. It's the month that he collapsed and died.
I appreciate your honest answer about just really being able to feel it and going at your own pace. And, everyone's journey is your own journey, but only you know how to kind of heal yourself or make yourself feel better. So I appreciate
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How do you get through your harder days, or how did you not become angry and just bitter?
Well, I really was. I threw things, I broke things, I tried to work, I quit my job, I thought I was having a heart attack. I admitted myself they admitted me into the hospital to make sure that I wasn't, because the anxiety that you feel after something like that, it doesn't go away right away. It takes time. It takes time for you to wake up and not feel numb. It took me a couple of years. It really did. And so I just do the best that I can. And I read books like similar to this one. It's okay that you're not okay. Not a commercial for her, but she's a good, Megan is a very good grief ambassador, I like to call her, because she really hits home, and she kind of, when others can identify with your grief, it's kind of like the foundations that we have a group on Facebook. It's a grievers group, a grieving moms of sons or daughters that we've lost sudden cardiac arrest. So we had a little convention, a little place where we went to, we did meditating, and we had dinner, and we just got together and just let everybody just talk. And it was the most freeing time, and it's necessary. So I will say to those that are grieving to get with someone. Don't be by yourself. That's really dangerous. Get with some grievers. Facebook has the most amazing groups. And I know some people are not don't want to talk to people, but we've been there, and we're there now. We're still there. So that's pretty much the advice that I would give. Was that the question? I just realized
No, you kind of went back to the question about advice for grieving parents, but I appreciate you throwing that back in there. You already answered
Sometimes I like, that's why I have my notes here. So I hope it's okay because sometimes I go on a tangent.
I got my notes because my brain is a little bit of everywhere, so I need to come back.
I've got the most brain fog that, just people that have lost a loved one, that happens. That's a part of it. Your memory loss, all of that. It's all a part of it. You have to write everything down.
Yeah. So you mentioned therapy earlier, and you don't have to go into the specifics or anything details about your therapy, but how did therapy help you? I like to talk about therapy because I feel like in the melanated communities, a lot of times that's frowned upon. And I'm trying to do my part in letting the world know that therapy is okay. Like, we need to do this. So, would you like to share some of your experience or how it benefited you?
I would, because being here in Las Vegas, having to bury my son in Chicago, where he's from, and coming back to Vegas. And my employer, of course, they want to help you, right? At the time, they wanted to help me, and no one knew of a grieving, no one knew per se of a grieving counselor, basically. So most times they're like family therapists, but they're all equipped to help you, right? So you can't see that title and say that, she's a family therapist or he or she, and don't think they can help you. So long story short, I thought that, but I tried this individual out, and that was the furthest thing from the truth. She was a family therapist, and she was the best for me. Okay, for me, because you do have to find. I'm sorry, I did see someone else before her, and what's important to me is that we have a connection. And I don't want that to stop someone, because sometimes you have to go to more than one session to see if you have a connection.
Yes.
But I got a referral after I went and saw the first one. And so I said, okay, I'm going to try this one out. And so ironically, she had lost a son. We had things in common, and I think it was fate, because she saved my life. She truly did, because I would go a couple of times a week, 3-4 times a week, take off work. I couldn't go to work. I had to take leave off of work, and she supported all of that. And she definitely understands and will help you if your employer is, not allowing that time. We need time to grieve. You can't concentrate on anything at your job, depending on what your job is, to be honest with you. And I'm not saying everybody quit their job, because you can't, some people can't do that. But if you're on your job, there's a thing called FMLA. There is, you should have disability benefits. There should be something that, and hopefully you have compassionate people that you are working for if you're not working for yourself. So just to throw that out there. But really, she was the best thing for me. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for her expertise, and just how she really wheeled me back in.
Yeah.
Because I was on the edge, about to jump off of that edge. And she wheeled me back in. And just kind of solidified my purpose and things the progress that I was making. She applauded it, and she just did so many things. It's like, I'm like, how do you know how to do this? How do you know what to say? When I say, when a therapist knows what to say at that moment, and you just go, and then you stop crying, and you know, of course, there's a big box of tissue there, and then you start to go, yeah. And you take a deep breath and you just kind of breathe, and she says, breathe, or he or she says, breathe. And so what, you know, how does that make you feel? What do you want to do? What would Zeke, you know, just incorporate your loved one in the time. And don't, you know, don't say that, you know, saying their name or seeing their faces, because my son is in every room of this house. He's right there. He's in every room, and he will remain. And sadly, my family would come to visit us, and they break down as soon as they come in the door. Because I don't know, some of them have maybe put the pictures away because it's difficult for them. But through therapy, you celebrate that. You celebrate them being right there with you, because they haven't left you. Their spirit is with you every day, all day.
Yeah. And coming from another perspective, so not everyone has been in a position where obviously they have maybe they're grieving their child, but do you have advice for like the family members and how they can better support the grieving parent?
Well, yes. Don't, and I think I actually wrote this one down because I needed to say this in a way that it wasn't, the family is also grieving. So you have to be careful. And I say that because with me, with Zeke being such an instrumental part of our family, the first to graduate college, you know, to go over and play basketball professionally, he was a lot of first in the family. He was the tallest one in the family, 6'6". He was just everybody's baby. So it was very, I would ask something of my family, and it was very difficult for them to do it, because it's something that it was difficult for me. So I would delegate, you know, I'm thinking, well, but I overheard a conversation, and I don't think I was supposed to hear that. And they said, even though he wasn't my son, this is a family member, I'm grieving just the same. And so for family members, I want them to grieve, but I also want them to, the person that the child or the family member, you know, belongs to, of course, there's a difference there. You can't, don't put yourself in their shoes and say that. Sometimes you got to suck it up.
Yeah.
You do. You have to suck it up, because it wasn't your child. It wasn't your child. It was your niece, nephew, cousin, friend. I know you had a relationship with them, but please don't put yourself in the same space of grieving as them. We're all grieving, but everyone grieves at a different level. And we all have to respect that. Mm-hmm. I don't want to discount your grief. But to all family members, please understand, and don't take offense to sometimes we may snap, we may not answer the phone, we may turn off our phones, we may hide out for 2 or 3 weeks, don't answer the phone, don't wash our hair, clean up, nothing. Live in squalor if we want to. And if you come over and you want to help, then yeah, you can do that. But don't push or pressure the person grieving too much. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I hope I made sense, because it's very, very delicate. I don't want to offend people, but you can't really worry about that. You have to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. And if they understand, and if they're, holding on to their faith, they will get it. They will get it. And that what I was worried about that. In some of my sessions, I would talk about that. And that's what my counselor said. Take care of you.
That's the key thing. And grieving and loss is such a difficult topic to talk about. It seems like you're always walking on eggshells because no one wants to intentionally hurt people, and we never really know what the right thing is to say. In 2019, my family went through an unexpected loss, one of my younger cousins, and I remember, I didn't know what to say to my cousin, his dad. Like, I didn't really know what to say or how to respond to the things that he was saying to me. And I'm sure I said something, but like, when I think back on it now, I'm like, I should have just not said anything. I should have just sat there and just listened and let him talk, because I don't really know what to say. None of us have been in this position before. And so I don't know. I don't know if I said anything wrong, but I always think about that. That's what made me ask that question.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for family members, how do we, like, you're definitely suffering a different type of grief. So it's kind of
But
hard.
also, I'm glad you said that, because you said, because it's not just family, it's friends. I have best friends. I have co-workers. What was most comforting for family, friends, and everyone is when I did pick up my phone and there was a text there saying, I love you. That was it. I love you and I'm here. And so don't shy away from the person grieving. Do what you do. Go, if they allow you to visit them, or when they're ready, but don't go to the point of like, well, she's not picking up the phone, so I'm not calling her anymore. No, keep acknowledging it, but don't be overbearing. But like that was very, very important for you, what you said about just sometimes all we want to do is sit and talk about our loved ones. And we don't want you to change the subject. We don't want you to feel like, oh, this is uncomfortable. Moving around and squirming and everything. No, we just want to just talk about, I just want to talk about Zeke. And some of my friends let me, and then some of them did change the subject. Like, this is getting too sad. Is it?
Well, I'm sure you were able to see who your genuine and authentic friends and relationships were in that time.
Yes.
So, well, this all comes from the power of vulnerability. So, before we wrap up today, do you want to talk about why being vulnerable is so important?
Yeah, and that one was definitely because when you're in a state of grief, you tend to be vulnerable. You let things go. Especially if you've always been that person in the family that was the caretaker, at a point that they feel you should be done grieving, that caretaker, that role that you had before, it comes back for them, for those that your family, friends, or whomever you were that person to. And so I had to let that role go, that vulnerable. And it wasn't for me, I guess vulnerable is probably, in a nutshell, that's what it was, but I was giving. I didn't say no a lot. I was weak to a certain degree to friends and family, because it will pull at my heartstrings. And if I could help you, I'm going to. I would help and, use my last to help someone. But through this journey, I had to learn to be selfish. Sometimes being selfish doesn't feel really good to the person because they're not used to that role, but sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes you have to take a deep breath, and on the other end of the phone, you have to say, they don't see your face, So whatever, it may be difficult. You're really, and they don't hear the sighs or anything like that, but it's me struggling to say no. Even though I said it, it's still a struggle. But I've learned through this journey, through grief, that I have to take care of me. Because if I don't take care of me, my mother, who I have to take care of, I can't take care of her. Zeke was 26 years old. He was still a mama's boy to a certain degree. I just wouldn't let go. I wouldn't let go. I learned how to let go in certain areas, but certain areas I just held on because he was my only child. I wasn't married. I was single. I would just go visit his games, go visit him, cook him food, and all that. But being vulnerable in relationships and friendships and all of that, you really have to kind of redirect that vulnerability sometimes and be selfish.
Yes. I would agree with that, because if you don't take the time to be selfish and take care of you, you can't show up as your best self for anybody or anything. So even though it sounds harsh because you're saying I need to be selfish, it's not really selfish, because me being selfish is going to benefit you in so many more ways than me trying to be like, okay, I can do this, even though inside I'm like so drained.
Yes, yes. And it honestly, it takes practice. It takes practice for me. I have an individual in my family that I gave so much, and I had to just say no.
Yeah.
I said no. I said, you'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
And that feels really powerful, doesn't it? Especially if you're
Yeah.
not used to like creating those boundaries and like standing up for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And I got off the phone and I felt a little sad, and then I just started doing something else, and I was okay. But yeah, we have a really big family, and we're very close, and so that's the reason. And we went through a very, very broken. We were so broken for two. Everyone's getting their wheels back going now today. COVID was a gift and a curse for so many reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of reasons, you had to like yourself because you spend so much time with yourself. You had to learn how to like yourself. And
Yes.
those that reside in the home with you. You had to learn how to like those people.
Yep. And you had to learn how to be alone and like just find other things to do.
Yes,
Like,
that part too. Yep.
so
Especially if you live
distracted.
alone. Yeah.
Sorry. I was just gonna say we're so distracted by like outside things and going places and spending money here, there, whatever. All that was taken away, and we were like, now what?
Right. Do I even like me? You know what I mean? It's like, wow, it's a lot. That's a whole nother podcast. I'm sure you probably have one of, COVID.
Yes. Well,
But
I
yeah, that's
appreciate you being here. Do you want to take some time to tell people how they can support the Zeke Upshaw Foundation, where they can find you guys and everything?
absolutely. We would love for you to just subscribe to our website, and I will show you guys. Well, you don't have this little card, but these nice little cards we have created with our little barcode. But the website is www.zekeupshawfoundation.org. And that's all lowercase, all together, no spaces or anything like that. Zekeupshawfoundation.org. And as soon as you type it in, this beautiful face will pop up. And you'll see it, and then you can go on the site, and there's so many things that you can read about Zeke and what he stood for, and our crusade to donate AEDs and educate, not just student athletes. I know we try to focus on that a little bit because Zeke was an athlete, and but sometimes kids pass away in their sleep from sudden cardiac arrest, and they are not necessarily athletes. So, but they were doing something that made their heart go into an abnormal rhythm. That's
Yeah.
a twister sometimes. So, yes. So please visit our website. Visit the Zeke Upshaw Foundation. and read about us, subscribe, donate if you can. We would love for you to help us out. We are we're going to be doing some amazing things in Vegas and in Chicago. So please, thank you.
On your website, there's a spot for everyone to go to. I'm sorry, to donate, or do you have a Venmo?
Absolutely. There's a tab that says donate, and there's also contact us, and just get our newsletters, or just sign up for our newsletters. It's very informative. We just try to, if nothing else, we try to educate the community about sudden cardiac arrest. I know several people that have succumb to this horrible, horrible silent killer. I know there's so many others out there. There's cancer, there's everything, but this particular disease, it creeps up on you. You don't even know that you have it a lot of times. And cardiologists, they're kind of expensive. And so if you don't know that you have signs, then you don't know to go see a cardiologist. So that's what I want you to do. Be aware of your body. Get to know your body. And if you just go to the website, we'll tell you all those things. And if you're having any of those symptoms or anything like that, then you can go, wow, let me get an appointment with my doctor. And then there's also a lot of free heart screenings in the communities.
That's good. So, that's great information to know. I'm glad you said that.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here and being vulnerable and sharing your story with us. I hope that we raise so much awareness to your foundation and that we can get you to your goal by the end of the year, because it's a great cause. So thank you.
I hope so. I thank you for having me. I appreciate the time, and I appreciate you allowing me this platform to spread awareness and express how grief can change your life. For the good, or for the good, bad, hopefully for the good. Because you have to lead while you bleed. While you bleed.
Yes. So definitely check out her website, her foundation, support, donate. Thank you so much for tuning in this week, Unoya Community Wolfpack. We'll be back next week. Peace out. Bye.